everyone. My name is Taylor Favorite, and I will be doing um, the video one for the first week's discussion. What I learned this week, um, I learned about the origin of our solar system, so that everything started from the collapse of a single rotating cloud of gas and dust, which is also called a nebula. I learned about the origin of the oceans. So, if it's true based on the oldest rocks from Earth, that Earth was originally a dry planet and the oceans came hundreds of millions of years later due to volcanic activity. I also learned that Earth is almost spherical, but because it spins, it flattens at the poles and it bulges at the equator. I learned about radiometric dating, so that by using groups of isotopes, so like a parent and a daughter isotope, that you can observe when they decay, and through that you can predict their half-life, and that half-lives are constant. So we can accurately age using that. So the most widely accepted age of the Earth through using this is 4.5 to 4.6 billion years old. I also found it really interesting learning about geologic time. So this came before radiometric dating, and I thought it was really interesting that the dates are constantly changing um, as new data comes out. So it was really like for certain eras, it's interesting that they can't have as many accurate dates because they don't have the fossils or the amount to back up the dates. Um, I found longitude and time interesting. So that I really like the example of the clock, so that if you were in one location and then moved to a different location, that you could figure out the time, the longitude difference using the time, because 1 hour is equal to 15 degrees longitude. I thought GPS was interesting. So it uses a constellation of satellites as a reference points for calculating positions on Earth's surface. So I just thought this was interesting because the satellites are so far away and they can be so accurate, like within a couple meters. So it's just crazy to think about something so far away is still able to be so accurate. I learned that because Earth's surface temperature, water can exist in all three forms, so gas, liquid, and solid. And I really found the hydrologic cycle very interesting. So that's water moving in and out of reservoirs through evaporation, transpiration, and sublimation. And I like the example for Earth's oceans of the 55-gallon drum, so that the oceans and the sea caps, the sea ice, makes up 53 gallons of the 55. And I also learned that the Pacific Ocean covers almost twice the surface area as the next biggest ocean, which is the Atlantic. After this chapter, I think I would still like to learn more about the hydrologic cycle, which you'll be able to tell from my questions. My first question is, does the hydrologic cycle have an effect on wildlife, or is it always in balance? So specifically, marine animals, do the effects of the water levels affect them and like their patterns of swimming or things like that? My next question is, does pollution have an effect on this cycle? I know for my group's current event this week, we discussed Carnival Cruise Line dumping into the ocean. So I know pollution is such a huge issue in the oceans. So I wondered if the plastic and the oil have an effect on the cycle. And my last question is, because Earth's surface temperature is increasing due to global warming, Um, it is obviously a concern that water will no longer be able to exist in the form of ice. So, what effect will that have on the hydrologic cycle when they don't have all three forms to work with? And that's my question.